Medicine. Good morning to everybody. The experiment begins.
Guinea pig.
Yes. Right, so I'm just going to take my breath now because we'll get it back again in 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Okay. Today is the opening which we're talking about Keystone species, a catalogue of European species, and this is one of Mike's shed loads of data that we've collected. It's been led by HCMI, the Hellenic Centre for Marine Research. We have a large number of people that have contributed to this. It's the Devoted Multi-Partner group. So as marine scientists, we're continually being asked to provide information to managers and policy makers to support them in making their decisions on the preservation of biodiversity and ecosystem integrity. But in assessing biodiversity, it's important to note that not all species are equal. Some of them are more important than others. And they still have contributed to biodiversity by their presence, but they have notable for their effects for their interactions, both at primary and secondary levels, on other components of the community. And keystone species, by their presence or absence, they have a disproportionate effect on biodiversity of the community as a whole. And they're analogous to the catastrophic failure of an arch if you take out the keystone. And some arches are quite unstable. Some arches are more stable. Some arches are in 2 dimensions or 3 dimensions. We might have very many keystones in a particular ecosystem. So it's not a very simple concept. Through the Devoted Partners experts, what we put together and submitted a catalogue with entry information on type of species, importance, size, abundance, distribution, various levels of cited references. We followed the MSFD terminology where it was in terms of components, habitats, marine regions. And we sourced from published work, models, ECOPAT, ECOSIP, and also actual judgment. And we have about 1,000 entries in the catalogue, 210 distinct species, and 32 higher taxa groups. Each species may have 1 or more entries depending whether it's about the geography or the habitat. And we also have the 158 model entries from ECOPAT and ECOSIP which have keystone as values. So some of the species, Ficopolmatos, it's an engineering species that acts as a promoter. Merle beds formed by many different species also acting as promoters and habitat species. And another species, the invasive bivalve is a reducer and also an engineering species. So where are the European keystones distributed? Most of them from the Mediterranean, but a good proportion of them from the Atlantic, and to a lesser extent the Black Sea and the Baltic Sea. The non-European Sea was the Norwegian off the northern Norway. What formal components do we cover? All the MSFD components, but most of them were benthic invertebrates. How are they distributed by habitat? Well, almost all of them were in sublittoral, either the shallow sublittoral or the shelf sublittoral. So the known areas just slightly off the shore. Also marine waters were important, but to a lesser amount in deep water systems. What do the keystones do? The vast majority of them are promoters, more than 60%, but the significant majority were also reducers, reducing biodiversity. Some do both, others we're not quite sure about. And their functional role, well, it's evenly split between the original definition predators, but also habitat species and engineer species. What's missing? Well, the gaps we have is very low coverage in deep waters, but also the smallest size groups, myofauna, the microfauna, and the microflora. Why is this? Well, really, it's further offshore, and we don't have that much expertise or understanding of those systems. Is it important? It probably is, and we need to address that. The Keystone Euro winner, my area. Every region has it. It's although it isn't invasive or an immigrant, as we'd probably say today. In fact, 52 species in the catalogue were invasive. The keystones are coming in from other areas. And 185 species were unique. We only found them in one of the regional seas. So what makes a keystone keystone? Down in the far left, over towards Mike, is most species today I'm not a keystone. Tomorrow I'm not a keystone. In fact, I'm never a keystone. But some of them have a key property. They have some degree of importance in the environment. And in fact, those species might be keystone. Some of them, they're keystone groups, but my species might change. Some of them, I'm only keystone in certain circumstances. This is what makes it complicated, because they're a certain size, a certain abundance, at a certain scale, or only in certain habitats. Cod is keystone in one habitat, and cod is not keystone in another habitat. So some of the most important species groups are habitat forming, or they're engineering species. Now seagrass is not a single species, but normally it's a monoculture, it's a single species in a single area. Merle or coral lichens habitats are a combination of several species. And we have parallel functional roles in different geographical settings, because these species change as we move north or south. What separates a keystone predator or a keystone prey, or are they just food web species? The sand eel here in the system is both a predator species and a prey species, but its removal could cause the collapse of the food web, specifically if there's no alternative prey or there's no alternative growth that takes its place. If it's gone, this food web might collapse. What keystones are protecting? Well, it's not necessary to protect all the keystones. We don't want to do that. Approximately 10 to 20% of them have some kind of protection. The most common protected groups are fish, the higher mammals, some macroalgae and angiosperms. It tends to be at the top predators, habitat or engineering species, but it is getting better. What can we do with our keystones, finally, is we believe the catalogue is an important resource, we have to say that. It's an open work, it's a continuous process. It can form the basis for selection of indicator organisms, or some form or other metric for ecosystem assessment. It needs more thought, because we don't know about keystones. We don't know until they're gone. When they're gone, it's too late. As an afterthought, there's one keystone species not included in the catalogue, and that's man, Homo sapiens. Casts a grey shadow. And this species has a disproportionate impact on other species. And this is the one, certainly the one, that we have to monitor and control its activities. I'd like to thank you, but just before I say, we're getting to a publisher soon. We have a catalogue and a deliverable report. That deliverable report is available online. It's really interesting and it's a really good read. So thank you very much.